All right. Hey, folks. Bunky here, Bunkman Hangout. Hey, today's topic, a little bit different, not a vet issue or, flying thing or military thing, but it's a gun thing. And I want to talk about my EDC, my everyday carry, and a little bit about my home defense and why I choose particular guns that I do for both of those. I've always loved guns. I was born in Mississippi, lived to about age 7 in Mississippi with some time in California. By age 6, I was shooting a 22 under the supervision of my grandfather and my brother. But growing up in California, a state that slowly progressed to very anti-gun, anti-2A, didn't have much of a chance to get into guns. And when I moved here in 2010 for my last tour in the Navy, I started to buy guns. I started getting into the hobby, and it's something that was a passion, something that I really like. Post Navy, I became a contractor, and as a contractor, that allowed me to buy more and more guns. But it also allowed, more importantly, allowed me to start to do training. And I would take courses, tactical courses, learning how to shoot, learning tactics. There was a school up near Austin, and I think the owner was either a fireman or he was a medic, but he was friends with Austin SWAT. And so he would have SWAT officers come down and teach us. And it was just fantastic training. I did gunfighting 101 at Gunsight Academy in Prescott, Arizona. That was 5 days of shooting, and that was fantastic. So having a big arsenal, okay, that's great. But the training, learning gun safety, number one, and then tactics and shooting, I think is much better than owning a bunch of guns. So over time, I have reduced my arsenal to something a lot more reasonable, something in that I shoot all my guns because I just don't have that many, which is fine with me. And I can become proficient and tactically sound, I think, with those firearms. Uh, and so back around 2015, 16, when I was, had this big, gun collection, I thought about maybe becoming a gun tuber. I love talking about it, love shooting and whatnot. But here's the thing: when I want to look at a specific gun, or I want to get into tactics, I tend to steer towards those folks that have a background in guns. So it's going to be former SF, or it's going to be former infantry, it's going to be a former cop, especially someone who was SWAT. And that's what I look to. Now, I'm not saying that if you're a hobbyist like me that don't know anything about guns. There's some great gun tubers out there that are just hobbyists, and they have great channels, and I watch them and I get a lot of information out of them. But it's kind of like with unfortunately some of the school shootings, you'll hear or read people will say, "Hey, we should just arm vets and put vets at schools." Well, most vets, I would say it's about 90% don't know anything about guns or tactics. So that would not be a wise idea. I mean, that's just like giving anybody a gun, and saying, okay, guard a school, and you don't really know anything about it. Now, with appropriate training, absolutely, if that's something that someone wanted to do. My background as naval aviator is we shot one morning. I think we had 2 hours for like 50 guys to go through, a dozen M9s and, shoot some targets and learn how to load a magazine, drop it. And now that was the extent of my training as a naval aviator with respect to guns. Now, of course, if I'm a pilot and I'm using a handgun, then the shit has hit the fan, man, and I have bigger things to worry about. I've heard of one story, and it was Earl Commodore training me 5. His call sign was Vapor. He was a Marine, full bird colonel, and he flew Harriers in the first Gulf War, and he was shot down, and he landed just on the inside of Kuwait that was controlled by Iraq, and he's running to the good guy side. He's getting fired at, and he took out his 1911, and he was just firing rounds behind him, just to give him a measure of confidence as he made it back to the good guy side. I decided at that point, so you know what, I'm just going to, if I ever start a YouTube channel, I'm just going to do where my expertise lay, and that's going to be veteran issues and flying, and unfortunately PTSD and things like that. So with regards to what I like, the guns I like, and the brands I like to carry, I've owned just about everything, even as of late. So I've owned, Springfield Armory, XDs, XDMs, the Echelon, which I think is a fantastic gun. I've owned the Walthers, PPQ, the PDPs, the PPX, Smith & Wesson. Those one points when I was in Afghanistan, we used to carry the ones with the god-awful triggers, but the new ones, the two, I think, have some fantastic triggers. But I always come back to my one true love, And what is my one true love? Well, that's going to be a Glock. I know, I can hear all the boos. I can, feel the stares. I am a Glock fanboy. The very first gun that I bought for myself, brand new, 1992, was a Gen 2 Glock 21, and I had that thing for 17 years. And I just cannot outshoot myself with a Glock. I am a very average to mediocre shooter. So I got to, carry what I shoot best, and that's going to be a Glock. Now, I live here in Texas, San Antonio. It's hot and humid in the summertime. I watch other channels, and the guys, they will, hey, here's my EDC, and they will pull out 50 things, knives and, you know, flashlights and phones, of course, and then they'll pull out their gun with 4 different magazines and whatnot. And, okay, that's great. That's just way too much stuff for a hot, humid place like Southern Texas or mid Texas, I guess. So I'm very minimal. I keep what I carry to a minimum. Now, up to last week, I was carrying 6-hour 365X macro tac ops. Fantastic gun. And now I know SIG's had a lot of issues as of late and with their 320 series, and that played a small role in my decision to get rid of it. I don't know if the FCU is exactly the same or similar, but in just the back of my head, maybe I'm like, okay, I'm carrying this thing. I carry inside the waistband appendix style, so I got the barrel pointed right at my femoral and my nutsack, and so there's part of that. But the biggest part that I had the issue with was, and the greatness of the gun is that it's thin and it holds 17 thin package. My hands, although not huge, I wear extra large glove. I have a difficult time drawing the weapon and keeping the weapon on target. It tends to slide left or right in my hand. If the gun is thicker, I have something thicker in my hand, then I have better control. And maybe that's just a practice thing, but is what it is. So I always end up going back to really the gun that I think is, for me, the all-rounder is going to be the Glock 19. So I've got 4 guns here today. 2 are everyday carry rotation, and 2 are going to be home defense, 3 of which are going to be Glocks. Okay. Now there are, if you like Glock 19, but you don't like the ergos, the whole block thing, or the grip angle, understand. One of these is a Glock clone, and it's going to be my Shadow Systems 920 Foundation Series, their basic one. And so this is, and just for the safety Nazis, we're going to go ahead and show you there's no rounds, and there are no rounds whatsoever in these guns. They've been safety checked. So this is a Gen 3 Glock clone. It's completely stock, as is from the factory, except for I added the red dot here, which is going to be a Hollow Sun SCS, meant for the SIG 320, but it fits on the Shadow Systems, and it is an enclosed emitter, and I absolutely love that. So all the Skagitas, everything that I carry, it doesn't get down into the window where the dot is put up at, so it's contained to the outside window. And so what do I carry it in? Well, I've got incogs, and again, these go right into the holster. There you go. There's that. I have another one, and this is, I want to say this one is Safariland. The other one is incog. And so Safariland, again, goes right inside. It's kind of tight there. So there you go. So that's what I carry. I do have a holster that actually has a light, or at least is built for the Glock with the light. I don't have it on the table with me, but I will also, at nighttime, I will go to that inside the waistband with the holster in it. So the other gun that I carry is going to be right here, and this is a Gen 5 Glock 19. And again, guys, there are no rounds. There's no ammo in the gun. So this particular one is it's stock, except for the sights. They're going to be sights that are meant for optics, and this optic is an EOTech eFlex. Great sight. It's got a big window, easy to see through. Except one thing is it does not have a shake awake, and that I don't like. But is what it is. The battery life is I think it said something like 50,000 hours, but don't quote me on that. Maybe less, maybe it's 20 or 30. Lasts a long time. It holds 0. I've had no issue shooting this thing. It just absolutely is a beast. And so this is Generally the secondary carry. And why is that? Well, the shadow systems is just a bit lighter. The Glock 19 is light, 15 plus one, but the shadow is, I think, about 3 ounces, and you can really, uh, tell the difference. So those are my two everyday carry weapons. So normally it's the shadow systems, and then backed up with the Glock 19. Now, along with that, I will carry something like a standard little pocket knife. This is one I just got. This is a 511. Brand new. This is called the Razor VX5, and actually, this blade actually comes out. It comes with an extra blade, and you could, if this gets dull or broke, whatever, then you can add another blade on it. I will carry at times, if I'm not carrying my Glock that has a light, then yeah, I'll carry a light. All right. So, and then I'll carry my wallet and my cell phone. That's about it, man. It's too hot, and it gets way too heavy to be carrying too much extra stuff. Oh, and I do have a mag caddy that I will put on the sometimes the holster with a light, and then I'll have an extra mag. Or I always have an extra Glock 17 mag that's in my truck, and sometimes I will put one in my pocket, depending. So as far as my home defense, well, I live in an apartment complex, so I'm not going to use an AR. I'm not going to use a shotgun. Although a 9mm round can absolutely go through walls, so you have to own every round that comes out of your gun. You have to, think about that. So primarily, and once again, and here comes a Glock. This is unloaded, but there is nothing in the chambers. So this is a Glock 47. Glock 17 size. It's a Gen 5. Its first year it came out was as a Gen 5. It has a Surefire X3, and then I have a Hollow Sun CO X2. Fantastic light shake awake, and and then I have sights that correspond. So if it were to go out, I can use my sights. And this is probably 90% of the time that sits next to me, in my bed. So, and then there is one gun that I have that is sentimental to me, and it's this next one. And I bought this one a year or two before I retired from the Navy, 20 years. So I thought, okay, get something that maybe represents something, right? So what did I get? Well, the SIG 226 Navy. And no, I did not carry this gun ever. There was a Prowler squadron. I know they got SIG 226s after 9/11. They had their squadron, logo put on it and stuff. But for the most part, if we ever, as a COD crew, carry anything, it would be an M9, and we normally would share that. We go to E2 squadron and carry their guns, which was always M9s. So this is a 6 Navy, and there's a anchor on it. It's right there. There you go. Right. And does not have a red dot. That's okay. I just got old school. Just it's got night sights on it, and I got a TLR9 Streamlight and 21 round mags. I think these are Medgar, I believe. They come with it, and it sits next to my bedside. And it's a gun that Navy SEALs carry. This is the Mark 24, not the 25, so it has the SIG proprietary rail, not the Picatinny rail. But great gun. You can hear it rattle. It rattles. And this gun probably has about 6,000 rounds through it. So not a whole lot. But I mean, honestly, if you shoot enough, you will have jams because you're going to have ammo that goes through it. It's going to jam. And honestly, this thing, 6,000 rounds, I cannot recall not even one jam. I've fired steel cased, crap ammo, great ammo. I never, ever had any sort of issues with this gun. So big time favorite. As far as ammo goes, there are 3 types that I carry. My favorites can be HST, 124 grain. So that's my primary. I also like Gold Dot 124 plus P. And then I Federal, the old school BPLE, and that's the 115 grain plus P plus. Just I bought like 1,000 rounds of it years ago, and I still have probably 500 rounds of it. That's just something that I like to carry. Anyways, that's and by the way, the reason I have a handgun again is a 9mm round can go through wall and hit someone else, but it's still not quite as fast, obviously, as a 5.56 round. No matter what the grain, I do have a shotgun as well, but I don't use that. So it's all handguns inside the apartment complex, and everyday carry 24/7. Frustrates me sometimes because my daughter, she has a gun and she doesn't carry it. And like I tell her, it serves no purpose, a carry handgun, to protect your life if it sits at home in a drawer and you're out somewhere and you need it. And I firmly believe it's better to have it, not need it, than need it, not have it. Uh, Maybe I'll make a video one day. 17 August of 2021, I had to draw my weapon on someone who attacked me with a police baton, and it was in California. I was arrested defending myself. I was arrested. Uh, I have a U.S. Law Shield, and they did a great job, man. They protected me and took care of me, and I would not have been arrested if it had happened in Texas. I honestly believe that. I'm not going to go into it right now, but it's certainly something that I'll talk about maybe down the road. And I did make some mistakes that day. There's one thing that I did, but I thank God that I didn't have to shoot the guy. It makes me sick to my stomach when I even think about that encounter. If I go to my deathbed never having to shoot someone, non-war, of course, then I am, I'm a happy man. Anyways, that's my EDC, my home defense rotation. And please, for the 6 or 7 of you who watch this, and I always say that, but, if you have any questions, man, let me know, say it in the comments, and like, subscribe if you're still here, and bunk out.